Revisiting the Kevin Durant trade. Have the Rockets or Suns benefited most? We've bypassed the halfway point of the season, which means it's a good time to evaluate the biggest trade of the NBA offseason. In July, a historic 7-team deal was highlighted by Kevin Durant being sent to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green, and the No. 10 pick in the 2025 NBA Draft. Former Duke center Khaman Maluach. The trade ended Durant's tumultuous 3-year stint in Phoenix and sent him to a Houston team wanting to build on a surprising 52-win season and become a legitimate NBA title contender. For Phoenix, the trade gave the Suns much-needed financial flexibility and a new identity, built around the defensive tenacity Brooks provided in previous stops with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Rockets. The Athletics' Doug Haller and Will Guillory provided perspective from Phoenix and Houston on where both teams stand shortly after hitting their respective midseasons. Haller, Will, Durant once said that wherever he goes, championship hopes follow. How did this trade change expectations for the Rockets? Guillory, last year's Rockets were one of the pleasant surprises in the NBA. Just 2 years removed from a 22-win season, Houston earned the No. 2 seed in the Western Conference after winning 52 games and establishing a gritty, defensive-minded identity, fueled by head coach Ime Udoka and the controversial Brooks. Houston's loss to the Golden State Warriors in Game 7 of a physical first-round series was a big disappointment for the Rockets after coming in with hopes of a deep playoff run, but overall, there was no doubt the 2024-25 season was a success. Once Durant entered the building, expectations shifted dramatically. The priority was no longer the development of young building blocks like Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson, or Jabari Smith Jr. When the best player on your team is a 37-year-old future Hall of Famer, there's only one priority: winning a championship. That's been the goal in Houston from the start of training camp, even after the devastating loss of veteran point guard Fred VanVleet to a torn ACL just before the start of the season. While Durant has expressed a desire to finish his career in Houston, all parties understand that the runway to capitalize on him while he is still at the peak of his powers is limited. I think that shifted environment has been beneficial for the young guys in Houston, but that's a discussion we can get to later. Let's talk about how things changed in Phoenix once Durant left. Haller, not at all. And this is where Jordan Ott deserves credit. The first-year coach has gotten the Suns to play hard every night. He's also maximized nearly every player on the roster. Excluding rookies, 7 players are averaging career highs in scoring. Brooks has been more than a defensive stopper. Guard Grayson Allen has been more than a shooter. Big man Mark Williams has stayed productive and healthy. Third-year guard Colin Gillespie has provided clutch shooting and playmaking. Guard Jordan Goodwin has brought toughness. Their second unit with second-year big man Oso Agudaro is a strength. The unknown is Green. After missing 41 games with a hamstring injury, he just recently returned. To start, Ott is bringing him off the bench, which is different. Entering this season, Green had started all 309 games in which he had played. Eventually, roles will change. Brooks may not get as many shots. Gillespie may return to a sixth-man role, and that will require adjustments. But this team looks connected enough to overcome any wrinkles, and it's changed their ceiling. How high of a ceiling? I'm not sure. Not long ago, fans were hopeful the Suns would just make the play-in tournament. That's no longer good enough. Can they get the 4th or 5th seed in the West? Can they win a playoff series? These are questions no one dared to ask a few months ago. How has Durant fit with the Rockets? Guillory, he's been fantastic. It's incredible that a 37-year-old on such a weird roster can still make the game look as easy as he does. The Rockets wanted a reliable one option who they could trust in late-game situations, and Durant has fit comfortably into both of those roles. But since he arrived, Durant has felt very at home in the city and with the Rockets organization. His teammates have really embraced him as the most important voice in the room. Fittingly, the moment when he solidified his place as the new face of basketball in Houston was after he hit the game winner to beat the Suns earlier this month. Thompson enjoyed it so much he called it his best moment I've had as a Rocket. For many within the organization, that one shot was a microcosm of what made the trade last summer such a no-brainer for them. They didn't love the idea of losing Brooks. They knew Green still had significant potential. But everyone walks around with a different level of confidence, knowing Durant is there whenever they need a big shot or a big fourth quarter. That moment also felt like Durant's opportunity to exorcise any lingering feelings he had over the tumultuous end to his time in Phoenix. He spoke openly after that win about how much the shot meant to him, showing a level of candor that's rare for him in a post-game setting. "I don't want to sound too dramatic, but I will. To be kicked out of a place and feel like I've been scapegoated for the issues we had as a team last year. Yeah, it felt good to beat them and hit a game-winning shot," Durant told reporters. While the Rockets have played slightly better lately, they still have a long way to go if championship or bust is the expectation. They're still 2.5 games behind the No.2-seeded San Antonio Spurs in the West. Their offensive efficiency has cratered in January as the team's three-point production has dropped, and they've given away a few winnable games against lower competition. At the halfway mark of their season, it still feels like they don't have much of an answer when teams decide to sell out and take the ball away from Durant. Despite some of the panic over their recent play, if this group can put together a few weeks with all of their guys, outside of VanVleet, healthy, I expect they'll figure things out before the All-Star break. As you mentioned earlier, the short and long-term fit for Green in Phoenix remains a question mark since he hasn't played much this season. He's still only 23 years old, and the $36.2 million he's owed next season isn't that bad. Would the Suns consider using him as a trade piece to upgrade the roster and try to make some noise in this year's playoffs? Are there any other moves they may consider to put them in a better position? Holler, the Suns want to see what this team looks like with Green on the court. Pretty much, he is their big midseason acquisition. A 20-point-per-night career scorer, he can help take the offensive load off Booker *, and I'm interested to see what this staff can bring out of him defensively. By the way, we haven't mentioned Booker much. With Green out, it was easy to assume he'd have to average 30+ just to keep the Suns competitive. That hasn't been the case. He's still moving the ball and making the right play as always. That trust has gone a long way. The Suns need size on the wings so they could make a move. How big? I don't know. Reserve center Nick Richards is an expected trade piece, but they may have to pair him with a rotation piece to get something valuable in return. How about Houston? Guillory, with VanVleet out, there will be a lot of potential point guard deals attached to Houston. Ja Morant is the biggest name out there that will draw a lot of attention ahead of the trade deadline. From what I've been told, I don't think the Rockets have much interest there. If they do anything, I think the Rockets will be looking to make minor tweaks to the end of the bench. Maybe someone like Clint Capella becomes available if another team is looking for a big body. Finney Smith is another player who may draw some interest. I think Houston would prefer to keep him around with hopes he'll find his shooting touch before the start of the playoffs. We've covered every angle of this trade, but we still haven't given the take everybody's looking for. Now that the dust has settled, which team should feel better about where they are after the Durant trade? If I were to take the easy route, I'd say both teams got what they wanted out of the deal. Houston is closer to contending for a title with this team than it would be with Brooks and Green still on the roster. Phoenix got out of second apron hell, and they have a team with a clear identity that plays with consistent effort every night, even if title contention isn't likely. But if I had to pick one side, I'd say I feel a little better about Phoenix because Houston just hasn't played well enough to put them among the Oklahoma City Thunder / Denver Nuggets / Spurs tier of contenders. The Rockets may get there by the end of the season. There's plenty of time left. But I'm just extremely impressed by everything the Suns have done this season, especially knowing Green has basically been a zero for them. What do you say? Holler. Because of the Durant trade and others, Phoenix lacks control over their next 7 drafts, so all they have is the present. Ishbia and new general manager Brian Gregory had to get to this right, and they did. The Suns are a factor in the West. As you mentioned, Durant recently said he felt like a scapegoat in Phoenix. That's not entirely true. Fans here appreciated and respected him. But it's safe to say they don't miss him. And that probably tells you everything you need to know.